to Josh or not to Josh? That is the question.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 Joshes having some fun, 'cause 2 Joshes are better than 1.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Joshing Around Milwaukee. I, of course, am Josh Albrecht, and with me as always is...
Hey, it's Josh Albrecht.
That's right.
And I'm from VISIT Milwaukee. So glad to be back again for another great edition of Joshing Around Milwaukee. And we're here today at the Skylight Theater.
Theater.
In the historic Third Ward.
Skylight Music Theatre.
Skylight Music Theater, so sorry.
I'll yes. That again.
And with us is Michael Unger. And did I pronounce that right?
You did, yeah.
Oh, thanks. Fantastic, yeah. So
1 for 2, not bad.
Yes, Michael Music Unger.
Sure.
Yeah, just like the Skylight Music Theater.
Yeah.
You could just take it as your middle name.
Gotcha.
See what I was doing there?
See what you're doing there. Listen, I've got
Josh didn't. He was lost.
I've got Josh Albrechts in stereo. I don't know what you got at home, but it's a little
My
lot.
wife says the same thing. She does the same thing all the time. I got this in stereo, Josh. This is crazy.
This is our pitch for the next show, actually.
That's right.
It's going well.
Nailing
But
it.
we're excited to be here at the theater because, first off, it's absolutely beautiful. Like, I was just getting ready to say to you, like, it has to be remarkable to get to come in here and to have this be your home every day, because it's absolutely beautiful.
It truly is. When I first walked into this space, when I was interviewing for the job, my jaw literally dropped, as does everyone's. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, every night when I go home, I live that away, and I come through the darkened theater, all the lights are off except for the ghost light, and I just take a second to just thank the theater gods for allowing me the privilege of being in this beautiful, beautiful space with all these cool people like Josh and Josh.
That's right.
In Milwaukee.
And we're putting on a performance like you wouldn't believe now.
You're in our next show.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, and certainly the stage is behind us, beautiful stage. The theater itself has a capacity of about 350, right? And so we've been in this space here in the Third Ward, you were saying, for about 30 years?
Well, I've been here for 4 years, four and a half years, but the Skylight has been in this building for 30 years, but it's now in its 64th season.
Oh, wow. So before having this theater, where were performances at?
Up by Cathedral Square, I think on Jackson, in an old tire recapping facility.
Oh, of course. That's interesting.
Auto shop, I guess.
That's exactly where I would have thought they'd be. Yeah. Makes
And
perfect
there are
sense.
pictures in the Richardson Room lobby of the old days, and Clay Richardson, who started the theater, used to sell plants on the roof to help finance the shows.
That's awesome.
And you know the Lord, that he's in an urn, his ashes are in an urn under the stage right now.
Here, right behind me.
Yep, down underneath, I can show you afterwards.
Right there?
Because he said, when I die, I want to be buried underneath the stage so everyone has to act over my dead body.
That is awesome.
Yeah, Claire did not live to see this building built, but they had a procession from the old space to the new space with the urn and his ashes. I think it was a horse-drawn procession, perhaps. And there's a shrine to Claire downstairs, and there's also a shot glass with whiskey in it. And if the shot glass ever gets empty, weird things start to happen. So part of the stage manager's job is to check that shot glass every day, make sure it's full for Claire.
That's your job.
That would be my job. That would be the job.
Yeah.
It's empty again, guys.
Sorry.
Can
I have the budget? I need a bigger budget for the...
We're going through a lot of whiskey. I don't know why.
Hey, that ghost, I tell you what.
You know?
Yeah. That's an amazing story, though. I had no idea. I had not heard that story before.
Oh, yeah. I'll take you down
that's
afterwards.
really, really cool.
It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the lore, the legend, the history, the legacy is very rich here.
Yeah.
You can sense it from just the architecture and the care taken in the architectural painting. It's called trompe-l'oeil, trick the eye. Anyway, yeah, it's a very special place.
That's fantastic. I love it.
And the shows are pretty good too.
Yeah, let's talk about the shows.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we were saying, you've got a pretty exciting spring. That's your hint for segue here in a second.
Spring Awakening.
So, how do you guys differentiate? I know you guys are known for some unique performances and maybe not doing things by the book, if you will. So, give us an example of Spring Awakening and how you're doing it different than what people might expect.
Yeah, I mean, when you get the rights to a show, you kind of have to do them by the book because that's the agreement with the authors. But what's different about Skylight is, I think, in part, the environment. This theater has such an intimate feel. It's a very unique place to see a musical. So you really feel like you're almost on stage with the performers. And likewise, the performers feel like space like a warm hug. To perform on the stage is very special. Not that I've ever done it, but I'm told it's really special. Certainly directed a lot of shows up here. But we try and do things that are on a more intimate scale and perhaps insert a bit more ingenuity and creativity where, you know, if you go to the Marcus Center, you'll see a Broadway tour, massive sets, all the stuff you might see on Broadway. We have to do things a little differently here because of budget and space and time, because we turn them out pretty quickly. We have only 3.5 weeks of rehearsal usually. Wow. So we are forced to do things differently, but that's good because it makes us look at things in a different way, maybe a fresher way. Spring Awakening, which is just running through the end of this weekend, it runs through March 17th, is a concept I'm so in love with. We actually announced this in February of 2020, and then the world shut down, of course. We're finally back 4 years later doing it, and it is a show that's created by hearing and deaf artists on the creative team and hearing and deaf performers. And it is for all audiences, but the intention of it, I'm co-directing with a wonderful theater artist who's deaf named Alexandria Wales. And the idea is that everyone, deaf and hearing, receives the story the same way at the same time. Or not the same way, I'm sorry, at the same time they get the same story. So it is interpreted throughout. It's not like we have two people sitting at the corner interpreting everything. It is integrated completely. And we are now balancing, we're in rehearsal right now, balancing, you know, how those two languages meet. And I think each one elevates the other. It's a really beautiful production. Do not miss it. The performers are incredible. And Spring Awakening is a wonderful, wonderful piece. Very powerful, a very important piece about youth empowerment and a generation of adults feeling fear from giving their children knowledge. So it's a willful ignorance that gets passed on, and it really hurts the generation. And it's about the younger generation getting the tools to really strike out on their own. And
oh man,
that
was
a little long-winded.
No, but like I mean,
it's a very important message.
Yeah, it's an extremely important message, and I mean that's what theater is supposed to be about, though. It's supposed to you're supposed to go into the theater, and when you come out, maybe you're not the same person you were because you've been educated, you've been entertained, and maybe had something that was thought-provoking for yourself to grow as an individual. And so I always like to have that as part of my theater experience. Is I want to take something away from it, and it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing here.
Absolutely, and we have not changed a word of the script. That's not allowed. It's by the book, but having some characters be deaf underlines this unfortunate history of where hearing people have decided what is right for deaf people. Where at one time they were not allowed to use sign language. They were forced to read lips, which is not the best way for deaf people to receive and communicate. So the way we're integrating the deaf and hearing characters highlights the message of the show. And I think a very important way, very meaningful way. So it'll be very unique, and please come.
Another cool thing coming up later this year, I think I heard you've got a Broadway legend coming.
We do.
So tell us a little about Tim Rice and what you're doing. And
Sir Tim Rice.
Yeah, of course.
So Sir Tim Rice, who is perhaps the most famous lyricist living. He is a wonderful, charming, funny, personable guy. He's an EGOT, one of, I think, only 15 or 17 EGOTs.
I'm almost there. I just got a few more to go.
He's got an Emmy.
O&T, you're almost there.
He's got an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony, but his favorite award is some cricket award, something he won for cricket. I think he plays
the sport
cricket.
of? The
sport of cricket in England.
Of course,
Anyway, he's a Brit. Lovely, charming guy. Anyway, we actually have a concert with him, once in a lifetime, one and only concert where he's going to perform on the stage. And the way he tells it is, people sing my songs and I tell a few bad jokes. So actually we have seven Skylight favorites performing his songs. It's going to be a really fun evening. It's a benefit for Skylight. There's not a lot of tickets left, so go to our website. It's on March 23rd. But then the reason he's here is it's the first week of rehearsal for his latest musical, which is From Here to Eternity, based on the novel that the film is also based on, the famous film with the beach scene and, you know.
Very cool.
That's amazing.
It's a great score. So it's about Pearl Harbor. It's about the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the Army base that is there, and the experience that these young boys have who are not really experienced in the world. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. The score is incredible. I was in New York recently with Tim and the director, Brett Smock, auditioning and hearing those songs over and over. It's just, the score is stunning.
Yeah.
So don't miss that one either.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely amazing. But I want to brag about you a little bit. You've got a great career. You're not originally from Milwaukee, correct?
No, I'm originally from an hour away, Highland Park,
Yeah.
Illinois. Loved growing up there.
Yeah.
A lot of family still in the Chicago area. I love Chicago. I love being close to Chicago. But I do love Milwaukee. I had no idea how rich the arts was here. It's like mind blowing. I mean, I can't see everything. I try to, but you just can't keep up. There's so much going on with all the venues, all the theaters, all the work that you've done to help us with our Milwaukee Theater District.
Yeah.
Good segue, huh?
Perfect segue to the theater. I also see how you avoided like your own self-praise. I saw that.
He did.
Yeah,
Humble. Hashtag humble.
But there's a reason why you're here leading the theater here in Milwaukee, and certainly your experience is helping to infuse some new life or just new energy into the theater, and we appreciate that as well. But yeah, let's definitely talk about the Theater District, because it's a newer thing that we've been working on as a collective of theaters in the downtown core of Milwaukee. That's both sort of the downtown central business district as well as the third ward where the theater's at, and that's certainly bringing a collective momentum to theater in Milwaukee. Maybe as someone who's come to the city from the outside, how have you viewed the growth of theater in Milwaukee over the last few years?
Well, I would say Milwaukee definitely punches above its weight in terms of the arts. Not a term I made up. I've sort of heard that. It's so true. But it is unfortunate that Wisconsin is also the lowest in terms of funding for the arts. So the fact that that has been compensated for by making it so rich in the arts is even more impressive when you think of how little support we get financially. And this is a hard time. We're struggling. All theaters across the country are struggling. Pandemic obviously put us in a position, still recovering from that. So all that stuff is really hard. So we need folks to go out there and buy tickets and see shows. But that's what we do. Right. But the Theater District, as sort of a branding sort of umbrella, really helps, I think, us all boats rise with the tide. Yeah. And what's so great about Milwaukee is, and we have patrons that do this, they're subscribers at every single theater, the ballet, the opera, First Stage, Next Act, I mean, all over the place, the Rep. So they do. It's almost a full-time job to go see stuff here, and you can. There's so much going on.
Sounds like a great full-time job.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
How does one get paid to do that?
Yeah.
Well, but also
Joshing Around Theater Critics.
Yes.
there you
One
go.
of these days we'll figure it out.
Monetize it.
Yes.
YouTube.
Right after our show, we'll use the proceeds from our show here to then start our critic business.
It just keeps it fuels itself.
You heard it here first. This is how it starts.
Everyone wants to be a critic.
That's right. I'm sure. I'm sure.
No, but just to have
Better than cats.
to have a central meeting place or sort of a central command of where to get information on everything that's going on, because you may come to Milwaukee and you may not know all that's going on because there's so much going on. And this is a great place to just click and learn, and you can get, I assume, get to each different arts organization through that central meeting point. And it helps us all.
We want people to be able to plan, mini vacations here, long weekends, things like that. Come in from outside the area, come to Milwaukee, come to the Theater District, see several shows in a weekend. Can really be a hub of activity and more seats per capita than I think one or two other cities in the entire country.
Yes.
So there's plenty of seats to come and see plenty of shows, and that's something that we haven't really told the world enough about, is that you can come see a variety of shows all in one weekend in Milwaukee.
And also, it's such a great sports town. Sports are great. The teams are great. The fans are great. But the arts dollars are surpassing the sports dollars in this town.
Which is remarkable.
That says something.
It's really saying something.
When you're going up against the Brewers and the Bucks and the Admirals and the Wave and all these great sports teams, it really shows the breadth and power of theater and the arts.
And another thing, I was born in Chicago. I grew up in Highland Park, a north suburb of Chicago. I love Chicago, love that area. But for your entertainment dollar and the traffic, it's much easier to get to Milwaukee than to get to Chicago. It will take you about the same amount of time. Parking's cheaper, restaurants are cheaper, the theater's cheaper. Anyway, so love Chicago, support all the arts there, but if you're living on the northern part of Chicago, Milwaukee's a really viable option.
Come on up here.
Come on up to
Come
Milwaukee.
on up. Yeah, you're hired.
Yeah.
You're
Josh,
on the team
but my
now.
name's not Josh.
No,
We'll figure that out.
He didn't even need to memorize the script. Like, he just had it.
Maybe
know,
you
it's
guys will
beautiful.
adopt me. And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be a whole thing. So with the momentum of the Theater District and mentioned and the sports teams, obviously, Milwaukee as a whole has got a lot of momentum going on right now. And within the Visitors Bureau, we like to say that we're sort of a fresh city right now. And so Milwaukee's the fresh city. And so what's giving you fresh city vibes right now? What's new and exciting, or a place you've gone recently that said, yeah, this is why Milwaukee's on the up and up?
Oh my gosh, I don't go to any places. I live 3 blocks that way. Honestly, I'm in the theater almost all the time. But let me tell you this. So we are thrilled to celebrate the local talent in Milwaukee. That is the bulk of what is on our stage, local artists, and they are phenomenal in any city. They'd be phenomenal. But we also bring in some artists from outside sometimes. We have a lot of artists from outside for a Spring Awakening, especially because of the special requirements of the show. But to watch them find Milwaukee, discover Milwaukee through their eyes is really kind of amazing, because they don't realize the amount of restaurants just in a 1 mile radius, even half-mile radius here. And I love La Miranda. That's one of my favorites. So I don't think that's new though, but I do love that place. There's a new Wolf on Broadway.
The Wolf, yeah, not
so
too far from
I haven't
here.
been there yet, but the artists from Spring Awakening were staying at the Plaza Hotel, have gone there and just raved about it. That was their first night. So now I got to go there. I got to check that place out.
Well, you guys are in a sort of hotbed of great restaurants here in the Third Ward area. Dan, Bavette's, there's so many good ones within walking distance.
Onesto is great. Love Onesto.
Yeah, so it's you're in a dynamite location to come. Go to dinner, go see a show, or go see a show, go to dinner, vice versa.
Now that brings up a good point. Which would you say is better, dinner and a show, or show and then dinner?
Dinner and a show.
Do dinner first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then you can go out for drinks after.
And then you go out for drinks after. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Charlie's also, which is literally right behind this wall. That's the restaurant that's sort of our office away from home, and great food, great drinks. We spend a lot of time at Charlie's. So if you want to meet some actors after the show, try Charlie's.
Yeah,
There you go.
fantastic.
Club Charlie's.
There you go. All right. We've covered a lot. Our time's coming to an end. Anything about the theater that we didn't touch on that you would like our listeners to hear?
You know, it's surprising to us who work here and who call this home when we hear about people who have not been inside Skylight or don't even know about Skylight. And so we have gallery nights, and we have lots of events where people come in just to sort of discover the place. And so it's surprising to us that people don't know about this venue, because it's so special and so beautiful. So if you don't know about Skylight Music Theatre, or the Broadway Theater Center and the Cabot Theater and our adjacent studio theater, which is a black box studio theater sort of that way, come check us out. We do a variety of shows, generally 5 shows a season, and I'm really proud of them. We have a great team. Some of our technical team is behind us. They're amazing too. And beautiful shows that are very meaningful and I think important messages. And it's a really great interpersonal relationship between audience and actor you won't find in many other places. So come on down to Skylight. Thanks, Joshes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, really appreciate it.
I'm actually due for hair and makeup, so this is
What?
been great.
Wait, you're performing?
Yeah, I gotta go.
Hey, we drove here together.
Hilarious.